we're live on YouTube so people can hear us and see us, but we haven't quite started the show yet. So welcome to Darrell and Ed, funniest thing. We have a very special guest in store. We're live on YouTube so people can hear us and see us. All right, so this is working. You're on. All right. Very special guest in store. Oh, we got a special song. We got something from TMZ about our guest to read at the end. What do you think, Ed?
Yep. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Record the audio.
Oh, yeah, good idea. I also want to make sure I could see this for when we tell the story. Hang on. Take this, go here. I think you should put these in the front.
Yes.
Okay, so that way I could see that. All right, you ready, Ed?
Yep.
Let me record.
I got some digit here.
We're going to the cloud. Okay. Welcome to the funniest thing,
Yes.
where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
That's right.
I'm Darrell,
I'm Ed.
and we're broadcasting live from middle school studios in beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of Screenland. And boy, it's the end of summer, but not for us because we have a special guest.
That's right. Today's show is called Ditch the Autopilot and Land in Life with Summer Nichols. It's easy to live our lives in such a routine that we end up in a rut. A rut is a well-worn groove in the road that once a vehicle's tires get into it, it's hard to get out of it. When this happens to our life, we tend to get complacent to the point of literally running on autopilot. Symptoms include we begin to deeply resent anything like a new idea. We don't like change of any sort, or even a new and better way of considering familiar things. Emmet Fox gives us hope in the truth that now is the day of salvation. Start right in today to handle at least one important part of your life in a new way. Break at least one rusty fetter today, and once this process begins, you will be astonished to find out how far you will go, and what a wonderful thing, and what wonderful things you will attain to. On this episode, Darrell and Ed share examples and benefits of breaking free from running on autopilot. Special guest Summer Nichols enthusiastically motivates all of us to leave autopilot and land in life with today's reading, Be Different.
That's right. Before we get any further, we want to thank all of you on Patreon.
Yes.
And those watching or listening to this on any of the numerous audio podcast apps.
Yes.
Yes, we were gone for a few weeks, but not forever. We're back and we're happy to kick off our latest episode with someone brand new to the show who you're going to hear from shortly. And I want to thank all of you on Patreon for contributing to the show because you help keep this show commercial free.
Yes. 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 And we have some postcards from our P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. Lois Conklin sent us a card that says, Dear Darrell and Ed, sending love and blessings to you. Been missing your podcasts. Thanks to Ed for some updates. I pray that you are okay and all will be well soon. I hope you'll continue to keep your listening family informed of your ongoing days. Please know you are in our prayers and that we love you. Take care, dear ones. Lois Conklin.
That's a great one. And she makes all these, hand paints and draws these for us if you're watching
Yes.
on YouTube.
Kirky sent us a card. Says, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent, from Eleanor Roosevelt. Win or lose, the game is decided inside, in consciousness, as a man thinketh. And, yeah, that's from Kirky. All right.
And we also want to thank, we have a engineer who actually puts together the audio portion of our show with the special effects and uploads it to all the apps if you're listening. And those who are listening, you could also watch us on YouTube. And those who just watch us on YouTube, you could drive around town listening to us in your car, hands-free, while you're walking around town.
Yes.
Through any of the audio apps. And that's Jeff Comfort in Kansas City, Kansas. And we like to thank him because each week he takes us
Right into the comfort zone.
Yes. And before we get too far, we got 3 great breaths.
Yes, Darrell just came up with these off of an Alan Cohen reading. You want to read the
No,
reading?
this is a book I highly recommend. We're going to read a little from it today. Originally, it was just called a mini course from the Course in Miracles by medical doctor, not, a pseudo doctor who calls himself doctors.
Right.
But no, this is a real medical doctor, Gerald Jampolsky, who actually worked with a lot of children with severe illnesses and had remarkable, miraculous success in their healings through something he called attitudinal health. And that is basically what all these New Thought teachers state, and even the Bible in esoteric ways says, it's what we think. It's our mental attitude. Attitude is our mental approach to life. So if we have a healthy attitude, an optimistic attitude, a positive attitude, it affects everything in our life. First and foremost, our health, because you think a thought and a chemical change takes place in your body. Think about that. When you think a thought, any thought, a chemical change takes place in our bodies. And we know that because when we think anxious thought, we feel our adrenaline kick in. When we think a depressing thought, we feel a different chemical change or hormonal change. And the good news is that that's the case, meaning we have, the one thing that we do have control over is our thoughts or our words. Remember, words are thoughts. Thoughts are made up out of words. So if you have a hard time, like Darrell and Ed go through, that's why we recommend affirmations, because you could say a positive thing enough times to eventually your mind will then click back in to its healthy, natural state. So that being said, the book was originally a mini course using the Course in Miracles, and it was no longer published. And he, thank goodness, created this new book that you can all get online. It's called A Mini Course for Life. And it comes with cards. The original mini course that he put out was just 18 cards. Well, this actually has those cards in it that you can carry with you, and it also has it in book form so you can read it every morning. So it just so happened, one that I read yesterday, and you repeat it over every 18 days, says this, and it goes perfect with today's topic. And ironically, it must have been 18 days ago that we were at the movie night. They do metaphysical movie night. They were doing at the Unity of the Oaks in Thousand Oaks, where we met Summer. And the movie was a movie called Wild Robot, which I highly recommend. It's something I would have never seen or chosen for myself. And man, it's a wonderful way to digest everything we're going to talk about today. And it does so in such a unique way. of getting off the old programming and that we're more than our programming and to ditch the autopilot. So here's what it says. I am determined to see things differently. Most of my life, I've acted as if I were a robot, programmed to respond by what other people said or did. Now I recognize that my responses can be determined by the decisions I make. I claim my freedom by exercising my power to decide to see people and events with love instead of fear. Whenever I feel tempted today, I see through the eyes of fear. Whenever I feel tempted today to see through the eyes of fear, I will repeat to myself, and this is going to be our 3 breaths, I am not a robot, I am free, I'm determined to see things differently.
Oh, yeah.
So you ready, Ed?
Yep. Take a deep breath to clear our mind. I'm not a robot, I am free. I'm determined to see things differently.
I'm not a robot, I'm free. I'm determined to see things differently.
I'm not a robot, I'm free. I'm determined to see things differently. All right. Did you want to read?
Emmet?
Yeah.
All right. This is another book we recommend. So all these books that we share on the show, you can find them anywhere, Amazon, bookstores. So, and we highly recommend them. Everything that we recommend on this show that we read from, it's something that we actually both read on a regular basis and believe in, and something we use as a practical tool to apply to our lives. So we just want to let you know, we don't just pull things out randomly. Also, if we do have a book where we just found a line, but we haven't really read the book or know the author, we'll let you know that, because we do have one of those today as well. So this is from Around the Year with Emmet Fox. We highly recommend it. It's a morning reader. Those familiar with the show know we read from this often. And this one goes perfect with the show. It's called Not Dead, but Sleepeth. And it was from September 4th, if you have the book. Most hotel rooms are furnished with a notice that says, "Do not disturb." The guest has only to hang this outside the door, and he can sleep in peace as long as he wishes. Some people appear to have hung such a notice on their brains. They deeply resent anything like a new idea or even a new and better way of considering familiar things. They are slumbering away their lives in a kind of semi-coma, repeating mechanically the time-worn phrases and threadbare ideas of the past. Dead but sleepeth might very well be said of them, and indeed their consciousness is a mental cemetery. If you have been sleeping like this, pull yourself together, rub the mental sleep from your eyes. Now is the day of salvation. Start right in today to handle at least one important part of your life in a new way. Break at least one rusty fetter today, and once this process begins, you will be astonished to find how far you will go and what wonderful things you will attain to. And then from Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14, it says, "Awake thou that sleepeth, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light." And you know what I did? I looked up the Message version, because that is from the King James Version. And the Message version says, "Wake up from your sleep, climb out of your coffins. Christ will show you the light." And by Christ, it means the God in you. What is your intuition saying? What do you really want to do with your life? Because we can get into these comas where, this is good, I'm okay, it's not that bad.
I hear that loud and clear.
But we all go through it.
Yes.
And what inspired this show is our guest, who we're going to be having on very shortly. she gave a talk at Unity of the Oaks that was all about this. We even kind of stole the title from her talk as the title for the show. And I did that intentionally, or we did that intentionally. So if you look it up on the internet, her talk, which is on the Unity Oaks YouTube page, will pop up, so you can watch that as well. And that's about, oh my God, I forgot what the title is. It's, Leave Autopilot and Land in Life is what her title of her talk is.
Yeah, it was such a great talk. My wife and I went up to Unity of the Oaks that day, and then we were expecting to see Reverend Sherry. And I remember, okay, so now there's a younger woman sharing about a trip she took. And so I took a breath and said, let's see what this is. I thought it might just be for the people, who know the community, and like a nice heartwarming recap, But man, it was a powerful truth talk and exactly what I needed to hear. It was so inspiring that we had to have Summer on the show. It inspired so much hope in me that there are young people like Summer who are living this truth and sharing this truth, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, and it's really about how easy it is to get set in our ways. And she gave a good firsthand experience. And this is why this is why it's very important to shake ourselves out of our routine.
Yes.
We get caught in a routine and we get comfortable in it, but then it can become a rut. And we mentioned that in the description, which is a well-worn groove that once a tire gets in, it's hard to get out of.
Right.
Because it's comfortable. But the problem is the rut now is guiding my life because I'm just going along complacent. And then I'll start, when my inside, I got to bring this reading for the second half from Catherine Ponder. I could paraphrase it. It's from the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. And she talks about, when you drive along or you're in a rut like this and you're just complacent and you're starting to justify everything's okay, the first symptom that happens to me is I don't like change. I mean, I start to really, when I'm in a rut, when I'm just complacently going along, I don't want anything to change. It's ironic. It makes no sense because the only way I got to where I am in this particular rut in the first place, which is a much better place than what I was before, is because of change. There's no progress without change.
Yep.
And here's the thing. When we start to feel the pain of being stuck in a rut, we tend to justify why this is okay. This isn't that bad. No, it's good. It could be a job that I've outgrown. No, it's not that bad. It has good benefits. And I've had positions like that. Like when I was at Time Warner, it started to become a bore. I had been there enough. At the beginning it was very exciting working in television, not knowing what I was doing. It's exciting when you don't know what you're doing. But after a while, I got so proficient at it and rose up the ranks that now I was in a position and I'm just like bored. I told Mike Dugan, my mentor, and he said, well, sounds like it's time to change. And my mind knew it was time to change because I've been through this enough times that I've gotten better at saying, I'm going to welcome change. I'm not going to be concerned about losing benefits because I know every time this happens, and this is what Catherine Ponder says, when we're feeling this pain or the need to justify, where we are in life, if the shoe fits, you don't feel it. Meaning if I'm justifying anything, if I have to convince myself that something's God's will, it's not God's will. It's either feels great or it doesn't. And it means that feeling where I'm justifying and I'm starting to feel this low level, like, it really means that my talents and my desires are now pushing through again. And I got to move with them. I can't keep, no, this is just good enough. Don't want to upset the apple cart.
Yes.
But here's the great news. God is always on the road ahead.
Yeah.
And it always turns out for the better. Nobody leaves a bad situation for a worse. When we leave a bad situation, what I'm trying to say, it only gets better. It only gets better. We were in, when I worked in law enforcement, when a woman finally makes the decision to move out of an abusive relationship, her life gets better. It doesn't get worse. And we'd have to reassure people that your life is going to get better. It's not going to get worse. Because when we justify a bad thing, we're actually convincing ourselves that we are incompetent, or we're not worth anything better than this. Whenever I justify where I am, I'm saying to myself subconsciously, you don't have the competence to do anything better than this. You can't rely on the idea that something better will come along. That's what we're hypnotizing ourselves with, and that's what this show is all about, breaking those things. And in the beginning, when I was first learning about this, it was a Marine Corps gunny sergeant, and I've shared this on the show before, that said, Darrell, or Fazaro, my last name, I call you by your last name, Fazaro, tomorrow, if you put your pants on, your uniform on, right leg first, I want you to do left leg first. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, I want you to brush your teeth with your left hand. It sounded so silly, but at that time I was so desperate for change that I did it. And then I have to do it now too sometimes. I get in these ruts even driving a certain way to a familiar place. And I have to make myself, and that's the great thing about these GPS systems, because sometimes they tell you to go a different way, and I could feel myself resisting. Ever do that?
Yes.
And I would, no, I want to go my same way. But when I let myself just go with it, isn't it funny how we get these little stuck in ruts? But be aware of this, because every time, like Emmet Fox says, that you break one of these, even if it's something as ridiculous as going with the GPS on your car, instead of going, yeah, it's telling me that, but I know my way that I've always gone is going to be better. I will tell you, something good will come out of going with that new way. You're either going to get to the place at just a slightly different time, whether sooner or later, that has you bump into just the right person. Or you're going to be driving down the street, which has happened many times, where you'll see someone you've been thinking about, or you'll see something on the side of the road, like that you've had on your wish list.
Yes.
And someone's actually now tossing it.
Right.
Every time.
Every time. That's amazing. Do you want to get on to the main event, or do you have something else you want to share?
No, I'm excited. We could bring Summer on.
Yeah, why don't we take a break? Coming up next, special guest Summer Nichols enthusiastically motivates us to leave autopilot and land in life with today's reading, Be Different. So thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed, live from Middle School Studios, beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of Screenland.
So now Summer can join us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. As you were just mentioning and reading from all of those various sources, the first word that came to my mind, and I swear I wrote it down, was complacency. And you use that word so many times, and I just thought that was the perfect way to describe the exact state of being that happens when you turn on autopilot and when you're living your life in autopilot. Because you're so right. We settle. We start to settle and we think, okay, well, this is as good as it's going to get. But it's really sad because I think people forget that their divine right is heaven on earth. Their divine right is having everything and more. And that's why I think living on autopilot is so dangerous, because we become complacent. So that was a beautiful word. I just wanted to jump in and say that.
Wow.
Well, hang on. Ed's going to bring us back.
So let's just roll, right?
I'm so sorry.
No, let's just roll, because that was perfect. Well, we are back with the second segment of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed, Ditch the Autopilot, Land in Life with Summer Nichols.
Tell Comfort that we just went straight through.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I would love you to share with our listeners how you that you became really aware of this on your trip, because when we take a trip, that's what was great about your share, that Ed thought was just going to be a home movie about your vacation,
Yes.
and wondering why you drove all the way up there. But he
Right.
was pleasantly surprised that there was much more in store.
Yes.
Can you just share a little bit how, taking this trip shook, that's what's great about taking a trip. It knocks us out of our environment. And why don't you share a little bit about how that really led to you sharing this as a talk, and what it did for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to Europe for about 3 weeks with my best friend, and it was fantastic. And I was getting on the plane, and I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a sightseeing trip. And I'd heard stories about people taking these kinds of trips and, coming back with fresh perspectives. But, um, I didn't necessarily dismiss it, but I didn't think that it was going to be as impactful as it was. And the biggest thing that kind of happened for me when I was on that trip was my identity was completely just destroyed, because I realized, and I think a lot of people do this, our identities are so tied to our surroundings, what we do for work, our roles, our familial systems. And so I didn't realize how enmeshed my identity was within all of those things until I left and I completely went into new surroundings, new environments, new energies. And that really was the thing that shook me up. And I had to realize that I needed to recreate myself and figure out, okay, wait, you are not necessarily tied to your familial role or your job. That's not the only thing that encompasses your identity, but you're actually an infinite, ever expanding creative being that can do basically anything. And so it was a really interesting kind of switch of environments and energies when I left and got a new perspective. And yeah, that was the main thing that really happened and woke me up.
I like that a lot, because I think you hit the nail on the head. A lot of us we become so unfortunately attached to identities that we're reluctant to change. And when it becomes such a well-worn groove in our subconscious part of our mind, it almost seems like it would be death to give up an identity. It could be anything. If your job title is your identity. It's funny, when I was really young, I felt like such a nobody growing up that I thought, one day, back then, this was before the internet and before cell phones even. But if you really wanted to look important, or people who I thought were important, like grown-ups, they had a business card. And I was like, oh man. And I thought a business card was something that you were anointed. You know what I mean? Like when you become a certain somebody in a certain field, then you get a business card. But no power?
Yeah, my power is up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
You get a business card. So I thought, I can't wait till I get a business card. The good news is I realized sooner than later, anyone could print up a business card. But the thing is, it wasn't until later when, while I was in college, after college, and then waking up to these ideas when I was 23 is when I discovered all these ideas that we talk about on the show. And I went to my first, experience with Unity Church and Course in Miracles, was in Hawaii, I was in the military. And it helped me realize that I can't rely on what I do or what I've achieved. I can only rely on my character, meaning just how am I expressing myself, how I'm feeling about myself right now in any arena is the real me. I can't, because up until that point, I thought when I would meet someone new or meet a girl, I used to think I had to tell her all about myself. You know what I mean? Like a mini resume review. But once I discovered this stuff, and it takes work, because like we both said, you got to kick yourself out of it with a trip. Sometimes it takes a trip, sometimes just little behavioral changes, or sometimes I got to grab myself by the collar and, come on, Darrell, we're going to do this. And it really helped me in the long run not get stuck in any specific career for the sake of an identity. I had a great identity, when I was, in the military. I had a great identity. I was the military liaison to the prosecuting attorney in Honolulu. And that was cool. And they gave the prosecuting attorney, the state of Hawaii, gave me my business card, and has the gold friggin' seal of Hawaii. And I'm from New Jersey. So this was big time. But it wasn't the life I wanted for the rest of my life. And so at 28, I said, okay, that's enough of that. And I went to art school. And then I don't hang on to, I'm an artist. It's something I do, but it's just so much better to be free of identities. Because any identity, if you think once you get an identity or you graduate school and you're going to be this or that, or you get a position and now you're a CEO, I'm going to tell you throughout my life, any identity you give yourself like that, any earthly identity, always feels limiting to me now.
Yeah. Yes. And very isolating too.
Yes.
It's very isolating because I think with our identity, there's really beautiful things about your roles and your job titles and your accomplishments. And I don't think those should ever be disregarded.
Right.
But at the same time, you feel so separate. You feel so separate. And I think in our, constant focus on our individuality, we sometimes forget our oneness. And that's where I think a lot of the loneliness and the isolation that the rest of the world is experiencing really comes in,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's easy to join. I mean, it's easy to consider myself either on my own or just consider myself in my mind as belonging to a certain group identity.
Yeah.
And then what does that do? That separates me even more, even though I think I'm feeling included in a group, but now there's a whole other arena that I'm excluding myself from.
Yes. Absolutely. 100% agree. That's there was a term that I used and I learned it right before my talk, and it's called inner beingness. And that's a state of experiencing individuality and universality at the same time. And that's been a really important thing for me, and I'm still learning how to integrate that. But it's understanding and expressing yourself as an individual that's divine and whole, but then also understanding that you're interconnected with everything that is. So it's those two, and they're working in tandem. And I think that's always important, to be in a state of inner beingness.
That's the best feeling, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you want to read the Unity Minister Joyce Kramer reading that we gave you? Do you have that?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did you see that reading, or did?
Yes, let me just pull it up
Yeah, no
really
problem.
quick. Unless you guys have it.
We do.
Okay, maybe then I will have you read it because I don't have it pulled up
Okay,
correctly.
no problem.
Just so you know, this Joyce Kramer is one of those old time, she's no longer with us, but she's one of those old time, what would you call them, Unity teachers?
No nonsense.
But yeah, and one of like the ones that was well respected. She was ordained by Lowell Fillmore. And that's why a lot of her writings just kick you right upstairs, and they seem to be right on point. And this was, I mean, she's no longer with us, but her ministry still puts these out on a daily basis. If you want to get these morning or these daily readings, you can go to Joyce Kramer Ministries, and it's free, costs nothing. You don't get solicited with any other emails or calls for donations at all. It's very clean. All you do is you get your daily reading to your email box. So this is one of those from just a few weeks ago. And it went, when we were writing, it was after you gave your talk and before we put together the show. I couldn't believe that this was the reading
Yep.
that day. And I'm going, oh my God, of course.
I love it. So many synchronicities that we just close our eyes to, but it's beautiful when your eyes are open and you get to
Yes.
experience that.
That's
I mean,
right.
it's fantastic.
It's called Be Different. God inspires my mind with new ideas that I use creatively. I live an interesting, adventure-filled life today. Are you afraid to be different? If so, it's likely that you are somewhat bored. To make life interesting, to enjoy the excitement of living, be willing to be different. Instead of doing the same thing the same old way, try a new approach. Drag out your imagination and put it to work. Ask yourself how you can make what you do, whether at home or in the marketplace, more interesting. Get out of your drab, dull daily routine. Being different brings success to your ventures. Do an exceptional job rather than being content in doing just a good one. Add an extra touch of creativity, something distinctive that people will notice and remember. Seek to meet others who stand out from the crowd. Read something that gives you a different viewpoint. A little difference can make you an exceptional person who lives an enthusiastic, successful, exciting life. Try being different today. And it's from 1 Corinthians 12:4. There are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. Which goes right along with that what you were talking about.
I absolutely love that. And I think it's so important too, because I got so many comments too after I went to Europe and I was telling them about, oh, I had this massive shift in perspective and it was amazing. And now I'm really noticing how much I'm going through life unconsciously. They're like, oh, well, I guess you would totally be able to wake up if you had the time and resources to just go to Europe. And I just thought it was so interesting because it's really what this unity minister was saying. It's small, intentional shifts and changes. You don't need to fly or travel thousands of miles away to have that experience. You can just wake up 10 minutes earlier, make your bed, or, like you were saying, go a different route on your GPS, right? There's small, intentional things and actions that you can be doing. And I love that Corinthians quote, there are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. It's really funny how people make excuses for staying in their old patterns and old perspectives because they don't realize that every single lived experience, whether you think it's the most monotonous lived experience on the planet, every single interaction, every single situation, every single circumstance, and every single day is Spirit trying to wake you up.
Yes.
Same thing. It's a different lived experience, but it's the same Spirit having the same goal of, yes, wake up to your infinite creative power. Yes, turn off autopilot. Yes, you can have everything and more. You know what I mean? And so it's funny how people just make these excuses, but it's just very interesting.
That is awesome.
I don't know if this, let me see if this works. I read this and it just woke me up to something this little book said. And now this is going again, like you're saying, life always wants us to wake up. I remember when I was new to this stuff, I had hoped all my life that I could just get everything right and then it would stay that way.
Yeah.
And I'd be okay. Because my life had been so chaotic. And I just and so then, but what that did was, it made me, I wanted things to get better, but I was desperately afraid of change. And you can't have both. That's like the guy at the workplace who says, I could be available for drug testing or get along with my fellow employees. I can't do both. So it's a similar thing. It's like saying, don't worry, folks, you'll get that further on if you're listening to this on the road. By the next exit, you'll get that joke. But anyway, I wanted things to improve, but I was desperately afraid of change. And the thing is, when we're in the pain of wanting things to get better, that is the call to change. That's the call to change. And it's not a call to be afraid and clamp down harder and try to, no, I'll just pack the musket. No, it's not bad. These are nice people where I work. But you're dying that means God's God calling within. Your talents are saying, no, we can go elsewhere. There's nothing wrong with these people, but it's time for you to move. And this said, and this is from a little book, A Day at a Time, another little morning reader. This is one that's for people in recovery from alcohol and drugs. It's not something I read every morning, but it's got some good stuff in it. And I happened to read it this morning, and it says this. It's crazy that this was this reading, and it hints at what you just said. May I know that pain is my higher power's way of flagging down the train I'm on before it gets to a bridge washout. May I be thankful that pain forced me to throw the switch in time. Pain saves lives. And to help me get over the fear of change, that means just like any other pain. Physical pain means I gotta, ow, why is my elbow hurt? Oh my God, it's cut. I need to put a Band-Aid on it. Well, the same thing is emotional pain for me. If I'm feeling emotional pain, it means, okay, why am I feeling this way? And it means, a simple way of putting it, my thoughts are now moving away from God. They're moving into fear, worry, concern, jealousy, anger, resentment, envy, frustration, impatience. So what do I got to do? I got to bring them back. And just with, real life situations, it means it's time for a change. And it doesn't mean I have to go in there and say, I quit. It means no. First, the change takes place in my mind. Okay, I need to get honest about this situation. Is it really worth it? Is there a change I need to make? And this is where you can use God or spirit or whatever you call it. Ask it. Ask. And you'll get to ask, what is it that I need to be doing? What new thing? What new idea? What new perspective? What would you have me do? And you're going to get the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think pain is not supposed to be a normal state. I think people go through life and, life is pain, no gain sort of mentality. And that's not necessarily normal. You are not supposed to exist in pain. You are not supposed to exist in emotional turmoil. But pain is a valuable indicator of when you're not being in integrity with yourself, when you're not being in integrity with God, and you're not being honest. And so you can use pain, emotional or physical, to understand how to make changes. So that's yeah.
That's it.
That's it. I've been going through some stuff with not sleeping well,
Yeah.
like the wake up call, and I'm having to surrender a lot to but when I do and just keep taking steps, my heart opens. I feel something new, something that I've overlooked starting to happen. So that's why I'm just like listening to you guys overflow with joy, and I am taking all this in because it is music to my ears as I awaken to some things that I had been ignoring on the lights on the dashboard for a while. And but thank God, it's always the right time. I was talking to my friend of mine. He had a great quote. He said, sometimes he reminds himself, I just need to get a bigger idea of God right now.
Yes.
Yeah, and I thought that was just such a great reminder. And that's what I've been reminding myself. All right, I'm going through stuff that's beyond my old definition of what God, and I didn't realize I was limiting God in that way. But like you guys are saying, I had normalized a certain amount of stress and whatever, and I just didn't realize I was doing it. But that's why I'm on like an exciting part of the road where every little glimpse and every little awakening moment is just like, a drink of water and spiritual water, joyful water, the knowing that I can, Darrell's very good at helping me, I can live without carrying this like boulder on my back, and that will actually help me increase how much I can earn and increase the good I can do. But man, it is a process that is well worth taking.
It It is, and it's so beautiful just to hear you, just all this chemicalization that's happening right now, and you're completely surrendering to it, and you're seeing the gifts in everything. I think that's so important when you see that spirit and God or source, whatever term you would like to use, is constantly and effortlessly working in every single area of your life to wake you up to your full
Yeah.
potential, right? So even your insomnia, it's like, okay, what is this trying to teach me? What is my body trying to let me know? Right?
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful state of mind to be in where you're always curious. Okay, why is this coming up? And there's no judgment, right? Maybe it's a little uncomfortable and you could acknowledge that, but it's like, okay, what's happening here? What can I do to make this a better experience for myself? What is this trying to teach me? It's beautiful, and it's so heartwarming to hear you just talk about it like that.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Could you explain the word caramelization, like apple?
Caramelize. I mean, that works too. We can caramelize.
Chemicalization for our listeners.
Gosh,
They may not know what that word. Just a
chemical
simple.
Of course. And I'm honestly still playing with the term, and it just came up for me actually about a week ago. So it's kind of perfect timing, but that's what I was thinking. That's the word that came to mind when you were talking about your experience. But chemicalization is basically, I almost think of it like emotional growing pains, where you're going through changes and you're making the necessary shifts to wake up, but it's painful, right? You're breaking patterns, you're breaking old belief systems. And so that's really what chemicalization is breaking these patterns, breaking these belief systems, and learning new, healthier ones. And so chemicalization is kind of the emotional growing pain, if that makes sense.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's such a fun term. I love it because it kind of plays off of what you were describing with thoughts and how they literally create chemicals in your body. When
They
you break
do, yeah.
patterns, you literally go through a process of chemicalization when you're integrating new patterns.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun.
um, all right. You want to share anything else before we wrap up? We can let you get to your high tea.
Wait, let me get this. I got two short ones.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear
I
it.
want our listeners to hear. This is from a book we read from regularly. He was actually a guest on our show. It's by Alan Cohen, A Deep Breath of Life. And funniest thing, today's reading, we don't plan this, folks. We just show up and God takes care of our readings for the day. Here you
And
go.
that is how it's supposed to be. Supposed
Yeah,
to be effortless.
yeah, you're going to read this. You're going to read this. We didn't know what Summer was going to be on the show until we met her. And it was like, okay, I guess she's the guest. So this is from today's Destiny is a Choice is the title. And it says, don't waste a moment regretting past mistakes or wishing it were otherwise. Ask yourself, and this is what Summer's been stressing, ask yourself how you would like it to be now and invest your energy in building the life you believe in. Then your life will reflect your choices, not your fears. Because we stay in ruts because I'm letting my fear make my choice instead of my choice make my choice. So that, and this is from a book. Now this is one of those books I mentioned that we can't really recommend because I don't really know the person. I've never really read the book, but I found the book on the street. I'm not kidding. Someone tossed this book, and I just like the desire map. And in the desire map, I mean, I might as well give her credit. Danielle Laporte. Don't know much about her. I mean, she could be a loon. She could be a wonderful, inspirational person. I have no idea. But this I like. You ready? Because it goes with the show. Your life is your art. When you make tough choices in favor of your soul, and that's what we're talking about. When you make tough choices in favor of your soul, you're making a masterpiece out of your existence. To move closer to your soul, you may leave your career for your sanity. Give up that identity. A career is just a giant lifelong identity. You don't need to keep that lifelong identity. Your character is your real identity, the God in you. To move closer to your soul, you may leave the city for the country. You may leave law school to tour with your band. You may leave your band to go to law school. You may leave security for your freedom. You may leave your neurosis for your potential, or neuroses for your potential. You may leave your common sense for the thrill of it all. Some difficult choices may look like sacrifices at first until you realize how much you've gained by making them. And that goes along with that short little slogan that everything you desire is on the other side of fear.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that just reminded me of a quote. Have you ever heard this? I saw it actually when I was training to LA, and it was graffitied on the side of a wall, and it was where attention goes, energy flows.
Oh, yeah.
And that is such a huge part of exactly what you were reading. And it's if you give your energy and your attention to your fears, they are going to manifest in your life. Whatever you're thinking, if you're thinking about what you don't want constantly, you will create that. It's kind of a paradox, but it's true. You are such a powerful being, and your attention is so powerful. So you need to make sure you invest in putting it in the right places so you can create the life you desire.
Yeah.
It's huge, but it was hilarious because it was massively graffitied on a wall, and it was just like Spirit smacked me in the face. But those are always fun when Spirit smacks you in the face with great.
Well, it's awesome, and it's because you know why it's awesome? Because deep down inside us, when we see something like that, it registers as something we already know is true.
Exactly.
That's when I know these are. It's like, wait a minute. It's like it's not like a. When it's like that, it's not like, oh yeah, that's a clever thing to say. It's like my gut, somewhere deep inside me goes, yeah, that's the case.
Yeah.
You know, and someone the other day, because I got years ago, I got what's it called, hacked on Instagram, which turned out to be a blessing because I totally was off Instagram, totally off Facebook all this time. And I think it's been good for my mental well-being. But my naughty little pleasure is scrolling through YouTube shorts. And where your attention goes, your energy flows. And a guy on YouTube, like someone positively, and it came from an unlikely source, it was just a news commentator, was saying, you know, when there's things going on that are upsetting, you know, you're hearing about in the news, you know, be mindful of what you choose to consume online. And I liked how he said consume, because our minds are always feeding. They're always feeding on ideas, whether they're from within or without. And that's why if we don't consciously choose what we're consuming mentally or feeding upon mentally, well, then I'm going to feed on what the world feeds me. It's our natural default. We just start listening to things and we kind of start drifting away from our true self. So I thought that was a good one. You know, be mindful of what you're consuming online, because our mind is feeding upon that. Mm-hmm. And that's why, you know, getting myself to watch movies like Wild Robot are a blessing, because then my mind feeds on these higher ideas that make me feel hopeful and give me insight into myself. And I walk away feeling good about myself and at one with the rest of humanity.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's really interesting too, that feeling when you consume hopeful, uplifting things that resonate with you, that feeling that you get inside, it's almost like for lack of a better word, a nostalgia. Because you're right, we do know all of these truths, but it's just an act of remembering.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's important to be selective of what we consume, because we want to remember these truths. And when we consume false ideas or, you know, really negative things, you know, online or wherever we're consuming it from, we forget. We don't get to participate in the act of remembering these truths because there's too much stimuli to overwhelm us, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So true. Well, thank God for people like you, Summer, to spread the truth. And Reverend Sherry over there, please give Reverend Sherry and Rick our love.
I will.
Yes. And if you're in Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, You could always drop into Unity of the Oaks
Or check them out online.
in Thousand Oaks. Yeah, you could check them out online and drop by on a Sunday. Their talks or sermons start at 10:30, correct? 10:30, but get there 15
They have the
minutes
best
early
band,
for the
man.
band.
They're the best band.
Yeah, we have an excellent band. Yeah, they're just fantastic. And we love you guys so much. And thank you for being so supportive. And thank you for having me on here. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, wow. Well, we got a little story that
From TMZ about Summer Nichols.
apparently Summer was mailing a Bible to her friend in another state. And the postal clerk asked,
Is there anything breakable in this package, ma'am?
Summer replied,
Only the 10 Commandments.
Oh, that's terrible.
Goodness, that is fantastic. Oh my gosh, I need to use that. I think I need to use that.
All right. You ready?
Oh, hey, we got a great song, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for being part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Like and subscribe and tell your friends. Join the Patreon community. Ready?
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kinda dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. Don't make sense to have for fun. Your brains get smart, but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets? You never know if you don't go. Go! You never know if you don't go. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. All that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. Woohoo!
Be careful, we're gonna make you sing at Unity of the Oaks.
Oh no, I don't think we're ready. I don't think they're ready for us.
I think we are. I think we're very ready.
We love you, Summer.
All right, thank you.
I
Everybody,
love you guys.
everybody loves Summer Nichols. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Bye.
Thank you so much for having me.